The war had raged for 17 cycles across the Korvath expanse, and the galaxy had learned to fear humanity in ways that ancient prophecies had never predicted. They were apex predators. The Coalition's reports confirmed descended from persistence hunters, who once chased prey across endless plains until exhaustion claimed them. Their military tactics were brutal, efficient, and utterly without mercy on the battlefield. General Rune of the Threkan Empire had fought humans for 9 of those 17 cycles. His carapace bore the scars of plasma burns from the Battle of Helion's Gate, where human marines had held a position against impossible odds for 72 hours straight. He had watched from his command ship as human soldiers fought without sleep, rotating through combat stims and sheer willpower, refusing to yield even a meter of ground. "They are monsters," his subordinates whispered. "Born killers," Rune had agreed. Until the day his cruiser crash-landed on Terran colony world Epsilon 7. The impact had killed most of his crew. Rune dragged himself from the wreckage with a shattered leg and 2 functioning arms out of 4. His distress beacon was damaged, and enemy territory surrounded him for kilometers in every direction. He had perhaps 3 days before infection or dehydration claimed him. He had crawled for hours before the human child found him. She couldn't have been more than 6 solar cycles old by Threkan estimation, a tiny thing with matted brown hair and eyes too large for her face. She wore a torn dress and carried a stuffed animal of some kind, one of its button eyes missing. When she saw him, she didn't scream, she simply stared. "You're hurt," she said in the universal trade language, her pronunciation careful and deliberate. Rune's hand moved to his sidearm, but the movement sent agony lancing through his torso. The weapon clattered away, useless. This was it, then. Killed by a human child, or left to die slowly while she watched. But the child didn't attack. She disappeared into the ruins of what had once been a settlement, clearly destroyed in the war's early bombardments. Rune waited for soldiers, for the inevitable execution. Instead, the child returned with water and strips of dried protein. She set them down just within his reach, then sat cross-legged at what she must have considered a safe distance. "My name is Farah," she said. "What's yours?" For 3 days, Farah returned. She brought food, water, and once, antiseptic bandages she'd scavenged from a medical kit. She talked endlessly about her parents who had gone to the sky during a bombing raid, about her hiding spot in the ruins, about a cat she'd once had named Whiskers. "I'm not supposed to help the bad aliens," she told him on the 2nd day, her voice matter-of-fact. "But you said your leg hurts really bad. Mama always said when someone hurts, you help them first and ask questions later." Rune learned that Farah had survived alone for 2 months in the ruins. A supply drop had missed its target and landed near her shelter, providing enough rations to keep her alive. She was waiting for someone to come back for her. "They will," she insisted. "The soldiers always come back for people. That's what makes us different." On the 3rd evening, as the system's sun began to set, Farah stood up and brushed dirt from her dress. "I have to go say goodnight now," she announced. Rune watched, confused, as she walked to a pile of rubble that he now recognized as a collapsed dwelling. She knelt down and placed her hand on a piece of broken concrete. "Good night, Mama. Good night, Papa. I helped someone today." "I think you'd be proud," her voice cracked slightly. "I miss you." "I love you." She returned to Rune, her eyes wet but her expression determined. "Do you say goodnight to your family?" The question struck something deep in Rune's chest. He thought of his own offspring, safe in the Empire's core worlds, who he hadn't spoken to in cycles because the war consumed everything. "No," he admitted quietly. "I have forgotten to." "You should," Farah said seriously, "even if they can't hear you. It's important to remember. The rescue party found them on the 4th day, a human patrol responding to the faint signature of Rune's distress beacon. The soldiers moved with lethal precision, weapons trained on him instantly. Rune prepared himself for execution. "Wait!" Farah threw herself between Rune and the soldiers. "Don't hurt him, he's my friend." The patrol leader, a grizzled sergeant with augmented eyes, lowered his rifle slowly. He looked at Farah, then at Rune, then at the small pile of shared rations between them. "Sir," one of the soldiers said, weapons still raised. "That's General Rune. He's on the priority target list." The sergeant was quiet for a long moment. Then he keyed his comm. "Command, this is Baker 7. We found the missing child. She's alive and..." "She's made contact with an enemy survivor. requesting immediate medical evac for both. Both, sir? The cum crackled with confusion. The sergeant looked at Farah, who held Rune's hand with her tiny fingers. Both, he confirmed. The kid says he's a POW under her protection. A ghost of a smile crossed his scarred face. And we don't leave anyone behind. That's what makes us different. The war ended 6 months later. The peace talks were complicated, bitter, filled with accusations and demands for reparations. But there was one gesture that both sides agreed upon without debate. Every evening, at sundown, a moment of silence was observed across all military installations, human and alien alike. Soldiers stopped, saluted, and in whatever way their species permitted, said goodnight to those they'd lost and those they fought to protect. General Rune attended the treaty signing on Earth. Farah was there too, adopted by the sergeant who had found her, wearing a new dress and carrying a stuffed animal with both button eyes carefully reattached. When she saw Rune, she ran to him, and the galaxy's most decorated generals watched as the fearsome Threekan commander knelt down to embrace a human child. "Did you say goodnight?" she asked him. "Every single evening," Rune promised. "And I have taught my soldiers to do the same." The humans had proven themselves apex predators in battle. But Farah had taught the galaxy something far more terrifying about humanity, that their greatest strength wasn't their capacity for violence, but their stubborn, inexplicable insistence on maintaining compassion even when the universe gave them every reason to abandon it. That night, as the sun set over the peace conference, generals and admirals from a dozen species stood at attention. And across the galaxy, soldiers looked toward the horizon and said goodnight to what they'd lost and what they still hoped to save. The predator cubs had learned to say goodnight. And the apex generals saluted in return. Retry.